Ariel Helwani in Boston alongside Matt Mitrione and his lovely feet, who face Travis Browne this Sunday live on FS1. I always knew that you were in touch with, nature, but
For
no
sure.
shoes to the media day?
As granola as possible,
Yes.
my time in Indiana just finally got to me, bud. I'm full-fledged hillbilly now. That's how it goes.
It is cold out there. Honestly, where are your shoes?
They're outside. I had some J's on my feet, and that was not part of the attire.
Really?
So I came in barefooted.
Did you know that was the case?
Not necessarily. I thought it was possible that it's considered dressed up. Where I'm from, that is dressed up. Some J's are dressed up.
That's right.
That's the reason why I couldn't. I had to wear something over my polo. Also, there's just certain stipulations, rules now.
This looks like the champion. Is this a sign of things to come? I think black is the championship kit.
That's what it is. I mean,
Yeah.
it's obviously they were like, look, just a little foreshadowing here.
Yeah.
Just we're gonna build that in.
You're fighting Travis Browne. Correct me if I'm wrong. This is a fight that you've wanted for quite some time, right?
Yes, I was offered this fight forever ago in 2010.
Wow.
But I had just broken my hand, and I called Travis. Travis and I we're cool. I have no animosity against him or towards him whatsoever. So I called him up and I was like, hey man, we both need a fight, but I can't take it right now. I just broke my hand. I was supposed to fight Rob Broughton, and I was going to take Rob down and try to bash on him with a hand, but it didn't work out. So and I was like, there will be plenty of time. We'll fight, and it'll be bigger stakes, and now's the time.
Where do you think he's at in his career these days? Very close to a title shot just a couple years ago, but it feels like people are kind of, moving past him a little bit. Do you agree with that sentiment?
I don't know. That's interesting. I honestly, genuinely hadn't put any kind of thought into it whatsoever until you just brought that up. So I don't know. I mean, as you asked, I'm comparing and contrasting his and my career, right? Yeah. So, I've lost 4 times. He's lost 3 times. He's lost to very significant names. I have not. He's been soundly beaten a couple different times. I never have. I've lost, but I've lost because I've made a mistake. I've never been outperformed. So that's interesting. I don't know. And I'm sure that if anybody's asking that question, then it's had to have gotten into his ears at one point in time, and I'm sure that's going to be motivating for him to really prove that that's not the case. So I don't know. That's really interesting. That's a very interesting question. I hadn't thought of anything of it, so I don't really have a good answer.
No problem. You are coming off a devastating loss. I think it's, at least from our perspective, you made a costly mistake and one that was sort of out of character. You never done anything.
For sure.
How long did it take for you to get over that?
Well, I mean, it's interesting. It's like a bad breakup, right? It lingers, you know.
Are you over it?
I'm over it. It just I think I got over that fight when I was trying to fight Rothwell in Ireland on 11 days' notice, and I didn't get the fight, and I was very publicly trying to get it.
Yeah.
Well, if in my opinion, that's almost like a victory, right? If I'm trying to get that fight, 11 days' notice, and 3 days before I'm posting pictures of a 3-pound hamburger, drinking beer, there should be a pretty comfortable, go ahead and give me the fight. Let's get a paycheck. Let's go ahead and get this thing done. I think I got over it at that point. I got closure on it at that point. But I learned a tremendous amount from it, right? And what I learned is that I have, maybe it's my arrogance, maybe it's my ego, but I was entirely too confident and overconfident and comfortable in that fight. Everything I was doing was landing. I felt like I was seeing him crumble, standing up in front of me, and I was like, I'll just take him down. I saw him shell up really hard, and I was like, at the moment, I was like, take him down, bash on his face, finish him up, crumble him completely, humiliate him. And I think that's just not my wheelhouse. And I got too arrogant and too comfortable, and I did something out of character, and I paid for it drastically. So but that's the thing though. I don't necessarily consider that a devastating loss. I think it was a hell of a lesson because I didn't get outperformed. I lost because I made a mistake. I wasn't going to lose that fight standing up. That wasn't going to happen. And I think everybody saw that in the first, and what was going on. So it was a learning experience for sure. And now it's just up to me to make sure I learn that lesson. And we've done quite a bit of that as far as look, when you get in a situation and you feel that confident, stay that confident. Don't be over the top.
Right.
Don't take yourself out of a winning position, right? And I think that's like they say, don't snatch defeat out of the jaws of victory, right? And that's what I did, and let's not do that anymore. So I think that's kind of the situation.
Final thing, where are you at as far as your contract is concerned? Is this the last fight on your deal? Are you testing the free agency market after this? Where are we at?
This is the last fight of my deal.
Okay.
Lorenzo and I had some talks, and we just didn't come to agreement. He offered, in fairness to him, or to them, he offered a significant pay increase from where I'm at, but I felt like that money was just replacing the sponsor money that I'm no longer getting. So there was no risk. There was nothing on their part that was coming out unless after I win, then I get X. And I didn't think that was appropriate. And so we talked about it, and I offered them a performance-laden contract, and they didn't want that. So I was like, all right, cool, just resend my original contract, and I'll fight it out, and then we'll see what the hell happens.
So you're hoping you win, and then you can. Do you want to re-sign with the UFC, or do you want to test the market? Because you're coming from the sport that this is very common. NFL, it's not a combative thing.
Right.
Is that the mindset?
Just business, yeah.
Just business.
Yeah, I texted Dana. I texted Dana a little bit, and I was like, hey, look, man, whatever happens, happens, but this is just business, right?
You get a response?
That's when I got my face-to-face with Lorenzo, and Dan was supposed to be there, but I think he was in Australia with Ronda, I think, or that card.
Right.
Not sorry, Ronda, but
right.
you know what I'm saying. Anyways, I think that it's an interesting situation for a lot of us. A lot of guys are fighting their contracts out now, which never happened before. But there's other players in the market, and I think that a lot of people are starting to look at their careers, saying, "Hey, look, what's the CBA, right? As far as like the punishment that my body, my mind, my soul takes, that my family takes, versus the paycheck that I could or could not really be getting. And if I'm only gonna get half of it now, because really, I mean, physically speaking, you have to look at, you're only getting half your paycheck. You get to base everything on only your show money, right? And if you get your win, then you're really then you're happy, right? So you kind of to fiscally do that, it's like, well, am I just? And I said this before in an interview earlier today, but like, am I running out of fingers to plug the dam up? Am I just holding back the tide and prolonging the inevitable? Where when I get done, I'm going to have nothing to show for what I've done except for what I've just been able to pay up to now. Like in 2014, I had 4 fights. Right, I got 10 paychecks. Great year. In 2015, I only had 1 fight, got 1 paycheck. Like, how am I supposed to develop any kind of a future or put anything away? When I have to dip back into the savings I got when I was in 14 because I only got 1 fight in 15, but I was healthy all year long. So like, there's nothing you can do about that, and that's one of the ugly parts of this sport is that now like the nest egg I built up in 14 has dissolved some because I went into that money in 15 because I only had 1 fight. So now I'm fighting early in January. Well, sweet. Hopefully this thing works out, and and if I stay with the UFC or wherever I go, hopefully I can fight 2 or 3 more times, and I can start to rebuild my nest egg again. But like I said, so are you holding back the tide and prolonging the inevitable? Or are you really getting ahead? And that's kind of the perspective you have to see. And you got to remember something too. Like for us as fighters, if we have our college degrees, our degree becomes less and less valuable the more we stay here, right? Because now we're further, the world has changed, the education has changed, the mentoring and teaching and training has changed. So anything as far as like real life, like 9-to-5 life, corporate. So if the longer we stay here, the less valuable we become to somebody else other than just a face and a name, which not many people are going to be like, oh yeah, you fought in the UFC. Well, then you're immediately going to be branded as an idiot, or a Neanderthal or something like that. So at least that's a social stigma that I see. So so it's an interesting perspective. And if you view that, you can say, well, I'm not really doing myself much justice by being here because I'm only stacking a little bit of chip and have no steady paycheck versus I can go be a 9-to-5er and I can make $60,000 a year. And I know that every 2 weeks I'm going to get, $2,500.
Fascinating times. I appreciate you breaking it down for us. Good, you are a smart man. Good luck on Sunday. Great to see you as always, and appreciate you giving us some time and coming back for the interview as well.
No problem, bud.